welcome back to The Breakfast Show. Now, here's something we all say to ourselves a lot, especially after a hearty meal of nasi lemak and teh tarik. I promise to eat healthier starting next week.
Oh, yes. If I could get RM1 for every time I heard that sentence,
you and your chocolate cake.
I would be a millionaire.
Yeah.
But eating healthy isn't just about adding vegetables or wholemeal to your diet. It's actually a whole new lifestyle that embraces colorful food, creativity in kitchen, and dining with friends.
Yeah, healthy eating habits is something that should last you a lifetime, and this becomes increasingly important as you age.
For seniors especially, the benefits of healthy eating include increased mental acuteness, resistance to illness and diseases, high energy levels, a more robust immune system, faster recuperation times, and it goes on. And overall, overall a better management of your chronic health problems.
Yeah, so as we age, eating can be the key to a positive outlook and staying emotionally balanced as well. So this morning we have with us our wellness guru, Wong, who's discussing diets for the elderly.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show, Eugene.
Thanks for having me again.
All right, Eugene, so we've already mentioned quite a few benefits of eating healthy, but now maybe you can come in and tell us how are we going to achieve that for, being in, if we're in our golden years.
Yeah, it's even more important to eat well, especially in the golden years. People tend to forget that a lot of them just say that, it's towards the end of our lives, we just should eat whatever we want.
Right.
But eating well actually affects the quality of your lifestyle.
That's right.
In your golden years. Because what you would like to have is, obviously you want to be free of disease.
Yeah.
But you also want to maintain that energy level that you had in the earlier years. So it's even more important to eat nutrient-dense food,
Right.
especially when in the golden years. So people tend to forget that.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, a lot of people then, if you're, for example, people who are looking after their parents, tend to give them porridge and like mashed food and all of that. But what really are the vitamins and minerals that the older people need?
Older people tend to have a lack of certain types of vitamins and minerals. The key ones would be, one of them would be vitamin B12.
Right.
Because the absorption of vitamin B12 is less when you're older. And vitamin B12 is very important for nerve and blood function.
Right.
Also to keep the brain function happening well. The other one is vitamin D.
Right.
Well, vitamin D, you can get it from sunlight. But for older folks, the skin, the ability of the skin to synthesize vitamin D is less.
Right.
So they have to be more conscious of that. And also when you get a bit older, they tend not to go out so much. So they get less exposure to the sun. And vitamin D also supports calcium absorption. And so it's very important to also have enough calcium. Because calcium will help you maintain your bone density.
That's right.
Even though it doesn't get any stronger, but you don't want it to be any weaker.
More brittle, yeah.
So that three elements would be very important. Vitamin B12, vitamin D, and calcium.
Okay.
What about fat? Because, if you notice, a lot of older people, people say they shrink. So they do get smaller. How important is fat in their diet?
Well, fat is still important, but it's the right type of fats. For our Asian diet, we tend to still take a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol.
Yeah, animal fat.
Animal fat. So the much older folks, they tend to eat a lot of meat still. So that should be cut down by a lot because they are much more exposed to heart disease.
That's right.
However, so they should be going for more of the polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats that you can find in fish, in nuts and seeds, in certain vegetable oils, olive oils, and so on. But the only thing is that you need to educate them about the differences within these two. A lot of the older folks are not used to taking this kind of oils, like olive oil and so on. So you need to tell them the health benefits of changing to this type of oil. And once they get used to it, they are quite okay with it.
Yeah, and what about salt? We all know that too much sodium is not good, but for older people, how does sodium play a part in their diet?
Yeah, of course, sodium is related to high blood pressure. Everyone knows that. So but sodium by itself is a really important mineral to keep the normal bodily functions. It's just that older folks need to keep to about 1,500 milligrams a day. Most of them still take about 5,000 to 6,000 milligrams because of the food they take. One of the mistakes they make is that they think soy sauce is not salty. No, it's not table salt. But to counteract that, I like to add the element of potassium. Because potassium actually controls your sodium levels in the body, as well as your high blood pressure. So foods that's high in potassium are like bananas, all the berries like blueberries, strawberries, and so on. And also seeds like pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. So these are really good things that the older folks can take.
But you know, as we mentioned earlier, I mean, it's all good and well if you start a a healthy lifestyle earlier, but a lot of us have to deal with people who are so ingrained with their habits that it's very difficult for them to change. And usually this happens when they, pick up an illness, or the doctor says, look, you need to cut salt out of your diet. How do you then help somebody change the way they eat?
Of course, the first part is the education, but I always tell them about remembering the taste of food. So a lot of people, they tend to get numb, especially the older people, their senses are a little bit numb. So to them, the saltiness of something is different from the younger people. So they feel that, hey, this is not so salty. But it's because they've been taking so much salt throughout the years. So what I tell them to do is, okay, try cutting down salt for a while. And once you eat back your normal food, you'll find that the food's actually really salty. And what you want to learn to taste again is the natural taste of food. So they tend to forget about the natural taste of food and just go for how salty or how tasty certain things are. So it's a little bit of re-education. And if they're willing, it can really have an impact on the taste of food.
Yeah, just your taste buds. I mean, I guess that's something you got to just adapt to. Your taste buds. You can't just keep, wanting to taste the same things that you did like 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing with sweetness as well. Because they tend to take sweet stuff and they feel that it's not really all that sweet, actually. So they have to be careful.
Okay.
So it's all, good to eat healthy, but the other important aspect when you are hitting your golden years is exercise. But it is something not easy for people to do. Say, for example, somebody in their 60s, number one, just because of the way it looks, would not go to the gym. They could take long walks, but what are some of the other things that they could do?
Right. For exercise for older folks, one thing I like to emphasize on is a myth. There's this myth that exercise for older folks will tend to create injuries for them. But in fact, it's the other way around. Exercise prevents injuries. So they should exercise no matter what age, what age they are. But the thing is, they need to take it slowly. Right? They need to start. If you have never exercised for a very long time, you need to take it up in different notches. Start very slow. The best type would be weight-bearing type of exercises, things that uses your own body weight. So even things like walking or just moving, some balancing exercises, really good for you.
Okay. You have some slides regarding the guidelines on for exercising for older folks.
Yes.
So maybe we can further elaborate on that.
Right. For older folks, they should start with at least 3 times a week of cardiovascular exercise and 30 minutes a day. If you can, increase it to every single day. Right. 30 minutes a day of cardio exercise. Now, the cardio exercise don't have to be difficult. Like I say, brisk walking is already fine. Make it into a daily habit. Probably in the mornings would be the best. And then another area is strength training. Now, strength training is to maintain the muscle mass which tends to deteriorate for the older folks. So they need to do some form of strength training. Now, these two are usually the usual ones which people say, but the one that's probably most important and people tend to forget is balance training. Because their balance tend to be a little bit off after a while. And their muscles are a little bit weakened. So balance training is really important. Now, what exactly is balance training? I'd like to show you an example, maybe. So let's just say a simple one that older folks can do would be as simple as holding a chair and just moving their legs up and down this way. Right. So that creates a little bit more balance. Now, after a while, once they are able to do that, they just do it with one hand. And doing the same thing. And after practicing that for a while, the next stage will be just to hold with your fingertips. So they actually train their balance and getting a little bit more balanced. And finally, the last stage will be just without hands and just able to do that again. Right? They probably could do that when in the younger years, but in the older years, they tend to lose that kind of balance. Right? and the muscles are not so reactive to movement anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be a very simple way of doing balance training. Do it for each leg, maybe do a repetition of 10 times and 10 times on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, but just going back to the diet, right? So what would be your suggestions for, say, breakfast, lunch and dinner for somebody who is, you know, say has hit 50 and is progressively getting older?
Right. The most important thing is to take nutrient-dense food. So they do, and another area which they need to look at would be fibrous food.
Right.
Because constipation is a serious problem for older folks.
That's true.
So take fibrous-rich food. The simple changes can actually increase a lot of fiber in older folks. Things like just changing from white bread to wholemeal bread,
Right.
or white rice to brown rice.
Brown rice, yeah.
Right? It's pretty much the same thing, except that it's just a lot more fibrous. If they feel that they need to have a fiber supplement, maybe they can choose to have psyllium husk, which is, you mix it with water, really, really good for older folks. So, and for the main meals, I always tell them to have a lot of vegetables and fruits, and mix it up with a lot of color. Try to have it as colorful as possible.
Like kids.
Yeah, like kids.
Yeah.
5 colors would be best.
Right.
So if you can have 5 colors in your food, that would be the ultimate way to eat for older folks.
And I think in your old age, like probably like red meat is something you want to cut out of your diet.
Yes, because of the high saturated fat levels. But if you take the lean, really lean red meat, every once in a while, that's fine. But fish would definitely be the best
Source of protein.
Source of protein. Because it's been shown that eating fish just twice a week can reduce the incidences of cardiovascular disease for older folks.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much,
Some good
Eugene,
advice.
for that. And I believe a lot of this information is on your website,
Yes.
and you can read about it at www.wongeugene.com.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Very informative segment.
Yes, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks for having me.